You wake up before the alarm, not because you are rested, but because some quiet weight inside your chest decides the night is over. The house is still. The sky has not fully chosen between darkness and light. You reach for your phone and you already know what you are about to see in your account. The same tight numbers, the same silent pressure, a whole life of working, caring, trying, and yet money still feels like a moving target you can never quite hold. Good morning, everyone. Today we slow down and step into a different kind of conversation about money and the mind. This is not about blaming you for what you did not know when you were 20. This is about honoring the life you have already lived and giving your brain a new way to work for you from this morning onward. If you are somewhere between 30 and 60, you have already paid a price to learn. You have seen jobs change, industries shift, prices rise. You have made mistakes, helped others, carried people on your back, sometimes at your own expense. You do not need another loud voice telling you to grind harder. You need a calm, clear way to train the most powerful asset you already own, the mind that lives inside your skull. In this journey, we will treat your mind like a room at dawn. Right now, that room might be crowded with old stories about money, with fears, with memories of times you were hurt, ignored, or underpaid. The curtains may be half closed. The air may feel heavy. Our work together is not to pretend the mess is not real. Our work is to gently open that space, bring in light, and rearrange what stays at the center of your attention. We will explore how the brain decides what to notice, what to ignore, and what to repeat. We will look at how thoughts and emotions about money have been wired through years of experience. You will not hear complicated theories. You will hear simple, practical ways to guide your own brain toward clearer decisions and stronger income, step by step, from where you stand right now. Along the way, there will be moments where I speak to you with the calm of a friend at the kitchen table, and moments where I speak as a guide who has walked this path with many others. Sometimes I will ask you to imagine, to remember, to feel. Sometimes I will ask you to act in very small ways that over time can change the shape of your financial life. I know there is a part of you that is tired of advice, tired of promises, tired of feeling behind. Keep that part with you. Let it listen too. Because what we are doing here is not chasing a miracle. We are learning the science of how your own mind can become a better partner in creating the money and the life you want in the years you still have ahead. Because this is serious, let me pause. Before the day rushes in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, only if you truly enjoy what I am doing here. And in the comments, write your location, your time zone, and the time right now, this morning. Now open the curtains and let the light in. Pour a glass of water, maybe brew a coffee or tea, set your phone to do not disturb, and take one deep breath. Let us begin our journey this morning. Chapter 1. The moment you start questioning money. You wake up and the day has not even begun, yet your mind is already doing quiet math. The cost of groceries, the next payment that will leave your account, the message from the bank that you hope will not bring a surprise. You move through the kitchen, make coffee, open a screen, and your eyes land on that same familiar number. Not a disaster, perhaps, but not the kind of ease you once imagined for yourself. For many years, you may have treated this as normal. You earn what you can, you spend what you must, you try to be responsible. Life happens. Children grow, parents age, health changes, jobs come and go. Money feels like weather, sometimes kind, sometimes harsh, always a little outside your control. When you are younger, you may accept this as part of the deal. You tell yourself that things will sort themselves out later. Then later arrives. You find yourself somewhere between 30 and 60, with a history you cannot ignore. There are choices you are proud of and choices you would make differently if you could go back. There are moments when you handled money with wisdom, and moments when fear, fatigue, or pressure pushed you into decisions that did not serve you. None of this makes you weak or foolish. It makes you human. Yet at some point, there is a morning that feels slightly different. You see the same account, the same bills, the same pattern, but instead of only feeling stress or resignation, a new thought appears. It sounds something like this. How did I end up living inside this repeated story about money? When did this script get written? Is this really the only story my life can tell? This is the moment you start questioning money, and it is far more important than it seems. On the surface, nothing has changed. Your balance is the same. Your job has not magically transformed. The world outside your window still follows its usual rhythm. But in the room of your mind, a small lamp has been switched on. You are not only inside the story, you are beginning to watch the story. For a long time, your relationship with money may have run on automatic settings. The way you react to a bill, to a chance to earn more, to an unexpected expense, is shaped by patterns laid down across many years. Perhaps you grew up hearing that money is always scarce, so you hold on so tightly that opportunities pass by. Perhaps you heard that money will always show up somehow, so you did not learn to plan until life forced you to do so. Perhaps you were told that wanting more is selfish, so you quietly feel guilty for even thinking about it. These messages settled into your mind the way furniture settles into a room. After a while, you stop noticing the shapes. You simply move around them. You stand in the same place to worry. You sit in the same corner to avoid looking at certain truths. You pace the same short path of thoughts every time money comes up. Questioning the story is like finally stopping in the middle of that room, turning slowly, and asking why everything is arranged the way it is. This questioning is not about blaming your parents, your culture, your past choices, or yourself. Blame may feel sharp for a moment, but it does not build anything new. What we are after is understanding. When you understand how a story was built, you can begin to rebuild it. You can decide what stays, what goes, and what needs to be added for the next stage of your life. You might notice that the questions are not just about numbers. They carry deeper feelings. You may ask yourself whether you are safe, whether you will be able to care for the people who depend on you, whether there is still time to change course, whether you are allowed to want more without becoming someone you do not like. These are real questions. They deserve honest attention, not quick slogans. The truth is that many systems around you are happy to keep you in a fog about money. Workplaces that benefit from your quiet loyalty. Industries that live on your stress and impulse spending. A culture that often celebrates display more than deep security. It is easy to move along that current for decades without ever pausing long enough to ask, is this really working for me? When you finally pause, something inside may resist. Part of you might say, this is just how life is. There is no point thinking about it. Another part might whisper, it is too late to change. My habits are too fixed. If you hear those voices, notice them and keep breathing. They are not warnings from the future. They are echoes from the past. Your brain has learned to protect you in the best way it knew how. Perhaps by keeping your expectations low so that disappointment would hurt less. Perhaps by telling you that money is random so that you would not feel responsible. Perhaps by keeping you so busy with daily survival that there was no space left to imagine anything different. That protection made sense once. But now, at this point in your life, it may be keeping the curtains closed in a room that badly needs light. Metaphor matters here because it shapes how you feel about your own mind. If you see your mind as a broken machine, you will treat yourself with frustration and doubt. If you see your mind as a room at dawn, you regain a sense of gentle control. You can open or close curtains. You can move old boxes out of the way. You can decide which pictures hang on the wall. You may not control the weather outside, but you do have a say in how your inner space receives that weather. The moment you start questioning money is the moment you stop living only inside inherited settings. You begin to see that your relationship with money is not a fixed identity. It is a pattern of thoughts, emotions, and choices that can be observed, understood, and reshaped. Not overnight, not through a single grand gesture, but through patient attention and small adjustments that build on each other. For now, there is no need to rush into plans. You do not have to solve everything before breakfast. In this first chapter, your task is simple and powerful. Notice the story. The next time you open your banking app or think about your next paycheck, or feel that familiar tightness when you pay a bill, pause. See if you can step half a step back in your own mind and watch what you say to yourself in that moment. You might be surprised by how harsh that inner voice can be, or by how quickly it changes the subject, or by how old it sounds, like a parent or teacher speaking through your own mouth. Whatever you discover, treat it as information, not as a verdict. You are not trying to win an argument with yourself. You are simply learning the shape of the room you are about to rearrange. As this awareness grows, another question naturally appears. If my story about money has been running on old settings, what exactly do I want to change it into? If my brain needs a direction, what would a better direction look like? In the next chapter, we will begin to turn that vague desire for something better into a clearer picture of the life you actually want your money to support. Chapter 2. A number is really a picture of your life. There is a moment when the fog around money starts to thin. After you begin to notice the story you have been living inside, another quiet realization arrives. You do not only feel stressed about money in general. You feel a constant pull toward something more specific, even if you have never put it into clear words. There is a kind of income level that would let your shoulders drop a little, that would give you room to breathe and plan and care for the people you love. For many years, you may have said to yourself that you simply want more than today, more than the last job, more than the last year. The word more feels flexible. It lets you hope without making a promise. It lets you dream without committing. But there is a hidden cost. When your mind hears only the word more, it does not know where to aim. It runs in circles instead of walking a path. Imagine you are standing in that same early morning room inside your mind. Yesterday, you started to notice the furniture of old beliefs and feelings. Today, on a small table by the window, you see a blank frame. That frame is waiting for a picture of your financial life. Not a perfect picture, not a fantasy of endless luxury. A simple, honest picture of an income that would feel solid, workable, and worthy of the effort you still have to give in this stage of life. Choosing a number can feel risky. You may worry that you will set it too low and limit yourself, or too high and set yourself up for disappointment. You may hear old voices that say you are greedy if you ask for more, or naive if you think you can change your income now. All of these reactions are part of the old story you began to observe. Let them rise, notice them, and then remember that you are not signing a contract. You are simply giving your brain a clear direction instead of a vague wish. To find a starting point, you can think in simple layers. First, there is the amount of income that would cover your real living costs with less fear. Rent or mortgage, food, utilities, transport, medical needs, basic schooling, basic support for people who depend on you. Not bare survival, but steady footing. Then there is another layer, the amount that would let you fix what has been delayed for years. Repairs, debts, health treatments, small dreams that never seemed urgent enough, but matter deeply. Finally, there is the layer of expansion. The income that would let you save, invest, give, travel, or create in ways that make your life feel fully used, not just endured. As you think about these layers, you will notice that the number is not only a number, it is tied to images. You may see yourself paying every monthly bill without that familiar twist in your stomach. You may see your kitchen table with healthier food on it. You may see your child or grandchild with an opportunity you did not have. You may see a medical bill handled without panic. You may see a weekend where your mind is not secretly counting every cost. This is the heart of the chapter. A number is really a picture of your life. When you pick an income target, you are not only choosing how many units of currency you hope to receive. You are choosing the way your days might feel, the choices you can make, the level of calm or chaos in your body. Your brain cares much more about lived experience than about abstract symbols. When you connect the income you want to the life it can support, you invite your brain into the process in a deeper way. Take a moment to imagine one ordinary day in this future life with a better income. Not a special holiday, not a sudden jackpot, just a regular weekday. You wake up and you know that the bills are set up, that the numbers will work. You still think about money, but you do not wake up with dread. You go to work or run your business with a sense that your effort is moving you forward instead of only keeping you from slipping backward. You buy groceries without checking the receipt 3 times out of fear. You sit down in the evening and you are able to plan instead of only react. In that ordinary day, notice the small emotional shifts. The way the air feels in your chest when you open an account and see enough to cover what is needed. The way you talk to the people you care about when money is not pressing so hard on every choice. The way you look at opportunities when you have some room to take a considered risk. These small shifts matter. They are the reason the number matters. You may be tempted to judge yourself here. You may think that the life you want is too simple, or not ambitious enough, or too ambitious compared with people around you. Let that judgment fall away. This is not a contest. This is a private agreement between you and your own mind about what would make your life feel more honest and more alive. For some, that will mean aiming for a level of income that supports quiet stability. For others, it will mean building toward a level that allows bold projects and larger responsibilities. Both are valid. Once you have a sense of the number that matches the life you want, write it down in your own way, outside of this audio space. Spell it out in words if you wish. Next to it, write 2 or 3 short phrases that describe the feeling of that life. Perhaps steady and generous, or safe and spacious, or creative and well-resourced. You are starting to give your brain both a target and a flavor, a destination and an emotional tone. Notice how different this feels from simply saying that you want to be rich. The word rich means many things to many people. It can trigger envy, fear, or confusion. A clear income target tied to a specific picture of your own daily life is less dramatic and far more powerful. Your brain now has something it can work with. It can begin to scan your current reality and ask what would need to change for this picture to become more real. At this stage, you do not yet need to know how you will reach that income. If you try to force answers before your mind is prepared, you may collapse back into old patterns of doubt. The first task is simply clarity. Clarity about what you are moving toward, not in some distant fantasy, but in the next chapter of your actual lifespan. As the picture becomes clearer, you may notice small conflicts inside. Part of you may light up at the idea of more space and choice. Another part may feel afraid of what will be required of you. More visibility, more responsibility, more chances to succeed and to fail. That mix of excitement and fear is natural. It means you are stepping out of the safe, familiar fog and into a place where your decisions begin to matter more. Keep returning to the room at dawn in your mind. On one wall, you now have a frame that is no longer empty. Inside it hangs a simple drawing of your chosen income and the life it supports. You may change this drawing as you learn more. You may adjust the colors, add details, or simplify it. The important thing is that it exists. Your brain now has a picture to return to when the day becomes noisy. In the chapters ahead, we will begin to work with the inner voice that speaks around this picture. You will learn how to talk to yourself in a way that supports this new income story instead of tearing it down. Before we do that, let this chapter settle. Let your chosen number and the life behind it sit gently in the background of your thoughts. You have just given your mind a new destination, and that alone is a powerful beginning. Chapter 3. Learning to talk to yourself on purpose. There is a kind of voice that never leaves you. It speaks when you wake up, when you look at your account, when you sit at your desk, when you lie down at night. It comments on every choice and every bill. Some days it is quiet. Some days it is harsh. Most days it feels so familiar that you barely notice it at all. This inner voice is not a sign that you are broken. It is part of being human. Over many years, it has been shaped by your experiences with money, by what you were told growing up, by how people around you reacted when things were tight or when there was plenty. Every success and every setback left a small mark. Those marks became beliefs, and those beliefs learned to speak. If you listen closely, you may notice patterns. The voice inside may tell you that people like you never earn beyond a certain point. It may say that you are bad with numbers, or that you always find a way to mess things up, or that you do not deserve more than you already have. It may sound like someone from your past, using the same phrases and the same tone. For a long time, you may have treated this voice as if it were simply reporting facts. You feel anxious, so the voice says that the situation is hopeless. You feel ashamed, so the voice says that you have failed. You hesitate, so the voice says that you are weak. In reality, it is not a reporter. It is a storyteller repeating the same old script. Now that you have begun to see your money story and to name a clear income that matches the life you want, this inner commentary becomes especially important. Your brain cannot move toward a new picture if the soundtrack in the background constantly insists that the journey is impossible. If you want your mind to help you, you need to learn how to talk to yourself on purpose instead of only listening on autopilot. This does not mean that you will start shouting cheerful lines that you do not believe. Your goal is not to deny hard facts. Your goal is to shift the way you speak to yourself so that your words support problem solving and growth instead of shutting you down before you even begin. Imagine again the room at dawn inside your mind. Until now, the inner voice has been like an old radio left on in the corner, playing the same gloomy station every morning. You did not choose the station. It was set there long ago. Learning to talk to yourself on purpose is like walking over to that radio, turning the volume down, and choosing a channel that is calm, honest, and on your side. One way to begin is to notice the language of always and never. When you hear yourself thinking that you always waste money, or that opportunities never work out for you, pause. Those words are rarely accurate. They lock your brain into a tight box where change seems impossible. Instead of always and never, try more flexible phrases. You might say that in the past you often struggled with saving, and now you are learning new habits. You might say that many chances have not worked out yet, and you are still open to the next one. The outer situation is the same. The bill still exists. The job is still what it is. What changes is the inner posture. You move from a collapsed position to a slightly more upright one. You create a small space for your brain to consider options instead of shutting down. Another shift is from harsh judgment to honest description. When something goes wrong with money, the old voice might attack your character. It might call you lazy or hopeless. That attack does not improve your choices. It only adds shame to an already difficult moment. When you notice this pattern, try speaking to yourself the way a calm, wise friend would. Describe what happened without insult. These are behaviors, not your entire identity. From that more compassionate place, your brain can ask useful questions. What can I learn from this? What small step can I take now to reduce the damage? How can I set up my environment so that this is less likely to happen again? Talking to yourself on purpose also means choosing a simple way to remind your brain of the income picture you named in the previous chapter. You can create a short statement that points toward that picture in gentle language. You are not trying to cast a spell. You are simply giving your mind a steady direction. Each time you repeat this line, you are telling your own nervous system that this is where you are headed and that you are willing to grow into the person who can live there. At first, this will feel awkward. Part of you may roll its eyes. That is normal. Your inner radio has been stuck on the old station for many years. New programming takes time to feel natural. What matters is not whether the words feel perfect. What matters is that you show up for yourself day after day and speak to your own mind as if you are worth the effort. To make this practice real, link it to moments that already exist in your day. When you wake in the morning, notice the first thoughts that appear around work and money and soften them just a little. When you sit down at your desk, recall your chosen income picture and remind yourself that each useful task is a brick in that future. When you make a payment, instead of only feeling loss, thank yourself for taking care of this responsibility and staying engaged with your financial life. None of this requires pretending that hardship is pleasant. It does not require ignoring unfairness or bypassing grief. It simply means that you refuse to let the cruelest voice in your head be the only one that speaks. You begin to build a new habit of inner leadership, one sentence at a time. As this change in self-talk grows, it begins to shape your identity. You no longer see yourself only as someone who is bad with money or cursed by fate. You begin to see yourself as a learner, as a person who is actively training the mind that guides financial choices. That identity matters, because your brain tends to act in line with who you believe you are. As you strengthen this new way of talking to yourself, another layer of work becomes possible. Words are powerful, but your brain also responds to images and feelings. The room at dawn in your mind is ready not only for new sentences, but for new pictures on the walls. In the next chapter, you will begin to explore how to build a quiet inner movie of the financial life you are creating, so that your thoughts and your imagination can work together instead of pulling in different directions. Chapter 4. The wealth movie playing in your mind. Up to this point, you have begun to notice the story you tell yourself about money, and you have started to name an income that matches the life you want. You are learning to soften the harsh inner voice and speak to yourself with more care. Now it is time to invite another powerful part of your mind into this work, the part that thinks in images, sensations, and quiet feeling. Your brain does not live on words alone. Long before you had language, your mind was storing impressions as pictures and scenes. A hand reaching towards you, a room that felt safe or unsafe, the sound of raised voices, the sight of a table full of food, or a cupboard that was almost empty. Over time, those images linked together into stories about what life is and what is possible for someone like you. The same thing has happened with money. Somewhere inside you lives a collection of scenes. Maybe you see a grown-up at a kitchen table paying bills with a tight jaw. Maybe you see arguments about spending. Maybe you see celebrations when money arrived, followed by silence when it left again. These scenes may not appear clearly, but they still color the way your nervous system reacts every time you touch anything related to income, debt, or spending. If you have carried a heavy history, your inner screen may be filled with pictures of struggle, risk, and loss. If you have never consciously updated those images, your brain may still be rehearsing a life in which money is always just out of reach, no matter how hard you work. That rehearsal matters. The brain tends to steer you toward what feels familiar, even when familiar does not feel good. The good news is that this screen in your mind is not frozen. You can begin to project a different kind of story on it, slowly and patiently, in a way that respects your reality but also stretches it. This is what we can call your wealth movie. Not a fantasy of instant riches, but a quiet, repeated set of scenes that show your future self living the financial life you are now choosing to build. Imagine again the room at dawn inside your mind. You have already noticed the old furniture of your beliefs. You have hung a frame on the wall with a simple picture of your chosen income and the life it supports. Now you notice that in one corner of the room there is a small screen. For years it has been replaying the same old footage of worry and scarcity. Today, you walk over, take a breath, and decide to learn how to use that screen differently. Begin with something very simple. Choose one ordinary day in the future where your new level of income is normal, not a special day, just a regular weekday. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable, and place yourself inside that day. You are not watching from the outside. You are inside your own body, seeing through your own eyes. You wake up and notice the feeling in your chest. There may still be responsibilities and challenges, but the constant knot of panic is softer. You know that your basic needs are covered. You move through your home. Perhaps it is the same place you live now. Perhaps it has changed. Either way, it feels more in order, more aligned with how you want to live. You make coffee or tea. You prepare for work or for your day of business. And you feel a sense of direction instead of helplessness. At some point in this imagined day, you interact with your money. You open an account to check your balance, or you look at a simple budget, or you receive a payment. In your wealth movie, the numbers you see are enough to cover what is needed. There may not be endless excess, but there is room to breathe. You watch your own face as you see those numbers. Notice the small relaxing of your shoulders, the deeper breath, the absence of that old, heavy wave of dread. Let this scene unfold further. You pay a bill calmly, knowing the money is there. You put a portion aside for savings or debt reduction or giving, according to the picture of life you created in the previous chapter. You make a choice that you used to avoid, such as investing in a skill or a tool for your work, because you now believe in your ability to generate future income. There is no wild drama here. Just steady, grounded action. As you move through this inner day, bring your senses into the picture. Feel the weight of your phone in your hand as you check a balance that feels safe. Hear the quiet sounds of your home, or the street outside, or your workplace. Smell your morning drink. Notice the texture of the chair where you sit to handle your money. The more fully you enter the scene, the more your brain can treat it as a kind of rehearsal instead of a distant fantasy. Emotion is the key. The goal is not to pretend that everything is perfect. Life will always contain uncertainty. The goal is to let your body taste what it feels like to live with more financial stability, more agency, and more alignment with what matters to you. That taste, repeated over time, gives your nervous system a new reference point. It begins to understand that a calmer relationship with money is possible and worth moving toward. You do not need long sessions to do this. A few minutes in the morning, before the noise of the day floods in, can be enough to begin. You can also return to your wealth movie briefly at night, when the mind is naturally more open and less defended. Over time, this regular mental rehearsal tells your brain that this future is not just a wish, but a direction. It is important that this practice does not become another way to blame yourself. If you struggle to visualize, if the scenes feel fuzzy, if your attention wanders, that is all right. You are not failing. You are simply discovering how your mind currently works. You can be gentle and persistent at the same time. Some days the movie will feel vivid. Other days it will feel flat. What matters is that you keep showing up and giving your brain new material to work with. You may also notice resistance. Part of you might feel that imagining a better future is dangerous because it could lead to disappointment. Another part might feel unworthy of the calm and stability you are rehearsing. When these reactions appear, they are not signs that you should stop. They are signs that your wealth movie is touching old protective beliefs. Acknowledge them and keep going, just as you would keep walking while carrying a backpack that feels heavier than you expected. There is another quiet benefit to this practice. As you repeatedly place yourself inside a future where you handle money with more confidence, you begin to see gaps between that version of you and how you behave today. Instead of using those gaps to attack yourself, you can use them as guidance. The future you in your wealth movie may act with more organization, more courage, or more patience. Those qualities become a kind of template. Your brain begins to look for ways to bring pieces of that future behavior into the present. In simple terms, your wealth movie is training your attention. It tells your mind which kinds of experiences to recognize and to move toward. Instead of only scanning for danger, your inner system learns to scan for alignment with the life you are building. That small shift changes the way you notice opportunities, relationships, and choices that affect your income. Of course, the mind does not work in isolation. For this movie to translate into real change, another part of your brain must be involved. The part that plans, organizes, and solves problems. The calm images you are rehearsing need a strategist who can turn them into steps in the real world. In the next chapter, we will meet that inner planner, and you will see how your clearer pictures and kinder self-talk can wake up the part of your brain that knows how to chart a path toward the financial life you are now beginning to see. Chapter 5. Meeting the planner inside your brain. By now you have done work that many people never begin. You have stepped back from your old money story and seen it with clearer eyes. You have chosen an income that matches the life you truly want to live. You have started to soften the cruel inner voice and to speak to yourself with more care. You have even begun to build a quiet wealth movie on the inner screen of your mind. There is another part of you that has been watching all of this from the side. It is quieter than fear, less dramatic than anxiety, and often drowned out by noise. It is the part of your mind that plans, that connects dots, that looks at a map and sees possible paths. You can think of it as the planner inside your brain. This planner lives in the front part of your brain, the area that helps you make sense of the future. It organizes, weighs options, and chooses among them. When you figure out how to pay 3 bills in a better order, that planner is at work. When you decide which skill will actually move your career forward, that planner is awake. When you choose not to buy something today because you know the money is needed for something more important next month, that planner has taken the wheel for a moment. Here is the challenge. The planner does not work well when you are flooded with stress. When your nervous system believes that you are in danger, it does not want long-term strategy. It wants survival. It wants short-term relief. In that state, your brain will push you toward fast escapes instead of careful choices. Overspending for comfort. Saying yes to whatever work appears, even if it keeps you stuck. Avoiding your accounts because look-in feels painful. You have likely spent many years in that survival mode around money. Maybe not every day, but often enough that the planner has grown weak from lack of use. When your mind is busy putting out fires, there is no time to design a new house. This is one reason you may have felt trapped in the same patterns, even when you were trying as hard as you could. The work you have been doing so far has a deeper purpose than it may seem. When you name a clear income and tie it to a real life, you give the planner a destination. When you shift your self-talk from constant attack to honest encouragement, you lower the inner alarm. When you rehearse calm, grounded scenes in your wealth movie, you give your nervous system a taste of safety. All of this makes it easier for the planner to step forward. Imagine again the room at dawn inside your mind. You have opened the curtains a little. The old radio of harsh self-talk is softer now. The screen in the corner is beginning to show a new kind of day. Near the window, you now notice a small desk. It has been there all along, covered in dust and old papers. This is the place where your inner planner sits. Until now, it has mostly been ignored while the loud voices ran the show. You walk over in your imagination and clear the desk. You stack the old fears and habits to one side, not as enemies, but as history. You place your picture frame of the income you want where the planner can see it. You let your wealth movie play softly in the background. Then you sit down with this inner part of you, and you ask a very simple question. What would it take to move my real life one small step closer to this picture? At first, you may not hear an answer. The old noise is still strong. But if you keep asking in a calm, steady way, you will start to notice small thoughts that feel different from your usual worries. You might suddenly remember a person you could talk to about a better role. You might realize that a certain subscription or habit is quietly draining your money each month, and that you could redirect that amount. You might see that a skill you already have has more value in another setting than in your current one. These are not lightning bolts from the sky. They are the natural work of a brain that is beginning to feel safe enough to think ahead. The planner loves clear information. When you know roughly how much you spend, how much you earn, and what number you are moving toward, It can start to play with possibilities. When all of that is hidden or avoided, the planner sits alone at its dusty desk with nothing to do. You can support this inner planner by giving it regular appointments. That means setting aside small pockets of time where you are not only reacting to bills or messages, but actually thinking. For example, once a week you might sit quietly for a few minutes with pen and paper or a simple page on a screen. You bring to mind your desired income and the life behind it. You give yourself a moment to feel that picture. Then you ask, what is one practical move that someone on the way to that life might make this week? The answer may be humble. Improve your resume. Learn a single new feature in a tool you use for work. Reach out to an old contact. Clarify what you actually earned last month. Explore a training opportunity. The action does not have to be grand. Its power comes from the fact that it is chosen on purpose, under the guidance of the planner, instead of thrown together in a moment of panic. As you practice this, you will see a difference between your survival brain and your planning brain. The survival brain pushes you to escape discomfort right now at any cost. The planning brain is willing to feel some discomfort in the short term in order to build a better long-term path. When you choose to sit with the discomfort of looking at your real numbers instead of avoiding them, you are strengthening the planner. When you spend a little time learning instead of numbing out, you are feeding that part of you. It is important to understand that the planner is not cold or uncaring. It is not some harsh taskmaster. When it is healthy, it is deeply on your side. It wants your life to make sense. It wants your actions today to support your well-being in the future. It is the part of you that can hold the weight of your responsibilities and still imagine better outcomes. There will be days when you feel too tired or overwhelmed to think strategically. On those days, remember that even one small planning action counts. You might simply write down what is most important to handle when your energy returns. You might just repeat to yourself that you are learning to work with your mind, not against it. You might return to your wealth movie for a few minutes and allow your nervous system to settle. Over time, as you give the planner more respect and more tasks, you begin to trust yourself in a new way. You stop believing that everything depends on luck or on the decisions of other people. You start to feel that there is a thinking partner inside you who will not abandon you when things become complex. That trust does not erase external challenges, but it changes how you meet them. When this planner is awake, something else begins to shift that you may not expect. The way you see the outside world starts to change. Possibilities that used to blend into the background come into focus. Patterns in your work, in your industry, in your community appear more clearly. You notice where value is actually created, where people are underserved, where your skills might fit in a new way. This is where the inner work and the outer world begin to touch. You are not just imagining a different financial life. You are developing the mental tools to recognize real chances to move toward it. In the next chapter, we will look more closely at this meeting point. You will see how the world around you can start to echo the changes inside you, and how your awakened planner can help you respond wisely when new doors appear. Chapter 6. When the outside world starts to shift. There is a quiet moment in this process when something unusual begins to happen. From the outside, your life may look almost the same. You still wake up in the same bed, walk through the same rooms, open the same accounts, and deal with many of the same responsibilities. Yet inside, the room of your mind is different. The curtains are a little wider. The planner at the small desk is more awake. Your wealth movie plays from time to time. And your inner voice is slowly learning a kinder language. Then one day, you notice something new. A colleague mentions that their team is looking for someone to take on extra work for a modest raise. A friend says they know a person who needs help with a project that happens to fit your skills. You see a simple posting for a role that you would have scrolled past before, yet this time you pause. None of these events are dramatic. They do not arrive with music and bright lights. They are ordinary, but they feel different. For many years, chances like these may have floated through your days unnoticed. When your mind was wrapped tightly in stress and old stories, its main job was survival. Anything that did not fit the familiar script was easy to ignore. Now that you have begun to train your attention, these small signals stand out. It is as if someone turned up the contrast on the picture of your life. You can see more shades than only danger and shortage. Your brain is always sorting reality. At any moment, there is far more information than you can consciously handle. Faces, sounds, messages, needs, opinions, prices, ideas. To cope, your mind uses filters. It pays attention to what matches its expectations and often fades out what does not. When you believed deeply that money would always be a struggle and that opportunity rarely belonged to you, your filter was tuned to notice proof of that belief. Bills stood out clearly. Setbacks looked huge. Any open door looked small and suspicious, or you did not see it at all. Now you are feeding your mind a different story. You have named a future where your income is higher and your life is more stable and generous. You are talking to yourself with more respect. You are rehearsing scenes of calm financial handling. You are giving your planner regular chances to think. Slowly, your filter begins to retune. You still see problems, but you also start to see shapes of possibility. Imagine that you are walking through your week with a gentle question in the back of your mind. The question is something like this: where are there signs, even small ones, that I could move closer to the life in my wealth movie? You are not hunting for miracles. You are simply open. Because your brain has a clear income picture and a calmer inner room, it now has energy to notice different patterns. Perhaps you overhear a conversation at work about a new area of service that is growing. Before, you might have felt that this had nothing to do with you. Now you wonder whether your skills could adapt to that space. Perhaps someone complains that they cannot find reliable help for a specific task that you know how to do. Where you used to nod and move on, you now think about whether you might be that reliable person. Perhaps you read a short note about training or certification. In the past, your first thought would have been that it is out of reach. Today, you feel a small spark of curiosity instead. It can be tempting to call these moments coincidence. In one sense, they are. The world is always full of noise and chance. Yet there is also another layer. You are different now. You are creating conditions in your mind that allow you to notice and interpret events in a new way. Where once you saw only closed doors, you now see half-open doors. Where once you saw only threats to your comfort, you now see challenges that might be worth facing. There is a name for this in simple psychological language. The mind tends to find what it expects to find. If you expect every month to end in shortage, you will focus on every sign that confirms that belief. If you expect that there might be a path, even a narrow one, toward a better income and a healthier money life, you begin to spot stepping stones that fit that expectation. This is not magic. It is a natural consequence of how attention works. Of course, not every apparent chance will be right for you. Some offers will be unwise. Some invitations will not match your values. Some ideas will not be worth the time. The point is not that every new thing is golden. The point is that you now have an active planner inside you who can evaluate these options, instead of a scared inner voice that rejects them all by reflex. When an opportunity appears, you can imagine bringing it into your inner room and placing it on the planner's desk. You can ask simple, grounded questions. Does this move me closer to the life I pictured in Chapter 2? Will this use my energy in a way that makes sense at this stage of my life? What might this lead to in 1 year if I take it seriously? What might it cost me if I say yes? What might it cost me if I say no? Sometimes the planner will advise you to let the chance pass. That can be a sign of growth, too. You are no longer grabbing at every possibility from a place of panic. Other times, the planner will suggest that a choice is worth exploring, even if it feels a little uncomfortable. That discomfort is different from the choking fear of survival mode. It feels more like stretching a muscle that has not been used in a while. As you follow through on some of these new paths, the outside world responds. A small piece of extra income arrives because you said yes to a task you would have ignored in the past. A manager starts to see you differently because you volunteered for a project that fits your strengths. A client refers you to someone else because your work showed more care now that you take your own future seriously. None of this happens overnight, but over time a pattern emerges. The inner changes you have made begin to leave fingerprints on your outer results. It is important to move through this phase with both hope and realism. Hope because your mind is truly capable of noticing and creating more supportive conditions when you train it. Realism because the world still contains limits and unfairness. Some doors will remain closed no matter how well you prepare. Some systems are stacked against certain people more than others. Training your brain does not erase these truths. It gives you more power to navigate them, to find the paths that do exist, and to avoid wasting energy on illusions. In the middle of all this movement, it is easy to get swept back into old patterns. You might begin to chase every possible gain, forgetting the deeper life picture you drew for yourself. You might start to measure your worth only by external results again. This is where the room at dawn becomes vital. You need a quiet, steady way to remember what you are actually building. One helpful tool is to bring some of your inner picture into the physical world around you. You can create a simple visual map that reflects the income and the life you are moving toward. This is not for display or for anyone else's approval. It is for your eyes and your nervous system. It becomes a soft reminder. a kind of compass on the wall, guiding you as more chances and choices appear. In the next chapter, we will explore how to build that visible wealth map in a way that feels honest and supportive. You will see how a few carefully chosen images and words in your environment can help your brain stay aligned with your true direction, even on days when the outside world is noisy and confusing. Chapter 7: Building Your Visible Wealth Map. There is a point in this journey when the inner work you have done begins to ask for a home in the outer world. You have cleared some space in the room of your mind. You have chosen an income that truly fits the life you want. You have started to speak to yourself with more care and to play a new wealth movie on your inner screen. Your planner is sitting at its small desk by the window, slowly growing stronger. Now it is time to hang something on the actual walls around you. Human beings are deeply visual. Long before you understood complex ideas, you understood pictures. A face, a doorway, a tree, a door that meant safety or danger. Even now, in the middle of a busy adult life, your eyes still feed your brain constant information. Most of that information flows in without your choice. Street signs, screens, advertisements, cluttered rooms, other people's desires. If you are not careful, your environment becomes a loud chorus telling you what to want, how to feel, and what kind of life is normal. That chorus rarely speaks about calm financial stability, meaningful work, and a life that reflects your true values. More often, it pushes you toward comparison, urgency, and endless spending. Creating a visible wealth map is a way of answering back. It is a quiet way of saying to your own mind, "This is what I am really building. This is what matters to me." When you bring your inner picture of wealth into a physical form, you give your brain a stable image to return to when the world becomes noisy again. Imagine standing once more inside the inner room you have been working on. The curtains are open a little wider. The planner is at the desk. The small screen shows scenes of you handling money with more ease. On one wall, you see your frame with the income picture you chose earlier in this book. Now you pick up that frame and feel its weight in your hands. You walk out of the inner room and into your real living space. Your visible wealth map can take many shapes, as long as it feels honest and kind. It might be a board on your wall where you place images. It might be a page in a notebook that you open each morning. It might be a simple digital collage that you keep as the background on a device you use every day. The form is less important than the intention. This is not decoration. It is a tool. Begin by returning to the life behind your chosen income. Think about the ordinary days that would feel different if your financial life matched that picture. Perhaps you see a kitchen that feels peaceful instead of cramped and chaotic. Perhaps you see a workspace where you can focus and create value. Perhaps you see small moments of generosity, like paying for a meal without fear or helping someone through a hard time. For each of these feelings, look for a simple image that represents it. A calm room, a safe home, a sturdy table, a scene of shared food, a quiet place where you imagine yourself working well. These do not have to be perfect photographs of your exact dream. They are symbols. They are reminders for your nervous system. As you choose images, pay attention to how your body responds. Some pictures may look impressive, but leave you feeling tense or small. as if you must become a completely different person to belong in that world. Others may feel warm and possible, like an expanded version of the life you already know. Favor the second kind. The purpose of this map is not to impress strangers. It is to help your own mind stretch without snapping. Alongside images of comfort and stability, you can include small symbols of growth, perhaps a picture of a book or a tool that represents the skills you want to build. Perhaps a simple image that reminds you of the work you do best. Perhaps a symbol of contribution, like hands offering something or a place in your community that you care about. Wealth is not only about what comes in, it is also about what flows out through you. You can also add a few short phrases to your map. These are not slogans for public display. They are personal anchors. They might describe how you want to feel in your financial life, such as steady and awake or disciplined and kind. They might remind you of the kind of person you are becoming, such as someone who handles money with courage and clarity. Handwriting these words, if you choose a physical format, can make them feel more real. When you first assemble your visible wealth map, you may feel a mix of hope and discomfort. Part of you may be relieved to see your inner desires honored on paper or on a screen. Another part may whisper that you are reaching too high or pretending to be someone you are not. Remember that your map is not a report card. It is a direction. It does not claim that you are already living this way. It simply says that you are walking toward it with intention. Placement matters. If you hide your map in a drawer and never see it, your brain will not benefit from its presence. If you place it in a loud public area where you fear judgment, you may feel exposed and defensive. Try to choose a place that you pass by daily, where your eyes can rest on it for a moment without effort. Perhaps near the place where you drink your morning coffee or tea. Perhaps near your desk or in a quiet corner of your bedroom. You do not need to stare at it or analyze it each time. A brief glance is enough. The images will do their work beneath the surface, reminding your mind of what you have chosen. In difficult moments, when doubt or stress begins to rise, you can stand in front of your map for a little longer. Let your eyes travel over each picture and phrase. Recall the life behind your income goal. Remember that you are not building this alone. Your trained attention and your inner planner are working with you. Over time, you may find that your map wants to change. As you grow, some images may no longer fit. You might add new symbols that reflect fresh insights. You might remove pictures that you realize came more from social pressure than from your true values. This is a healthy sign. Your wealth map is a living object, just as your relationship with money is a living process. It is also helpful to notice how your behavior begins to respond to this map, even in small ways. One afternoon, you may glance at a picture of a calm, organized workspace and feel an urge to clear a pile of papers. On another day, you may see an image that represents generosity and decide to handle a small debt with more integrity. These actions may seem minor, yet they are threads weaving your inner picture into your outer life. Remember that the map is not a shortcut. It does not replace hard choices or real work. It simply keeps you oriented when you face those choices. When new opportunities appear, you can look at your map and ask whether they move you closer to this life or pull you further away. when temptations arise to spend in ways that do not serve you, your map can quietly ask whether that choice fits the person you are becoming. At the end of the day, your visible wealth map is a promise on paper. It says that you are willing to keep your deeper desires in sight, even when the world pushes other stories at you. It says that you believe your mind can be trained, and that you are willing to be patient with yourself while it learns. As this visual anchor settles into your environment, another question rises. Pictures and plans are powerful, but without movement, they remain locked in the realm of hope. How do you turn this steady inner and outer alignment into real shifts in your financial life? How do you move from inspiration to consistent, grounded action? In the next chapter, we will explore the simple yet demanding habit of taking one small step every day toward the income and the life that now hang clearly in front of you. Chapter 8. One small step every day. There comes a time in this journey when you realize that insight alone will not carry you where you want to go. You have seen your old money story with clearer eyes. You have chosen an income that truly fits the life you want. You have begun to speak to yourself with more kindness and to play a new wealth movie on the inner screen of your mind. Your visible wealth map now hangs in your real space as a quiet promise. All of this matters deeply. Yet without movement, it remains only a more beautiful dream. The part of your brain that plans and organizes is now awake at its small desk by the window in that inner room. It studies your chosen income and the scenes of your future life. It looks at your current reality. It sees the distance between the two. That distance can feel overwhelming when you stare at it all at once. The mind can freeze under the weight of questions about how to cross such a gap. This is where the power of one small daily step becomes essential. Big changes rarely arrive as one giant leap. They arrive as a long line of choices that seem almost modest when they happen. The decision to learn something for half an hour instead of numbing out. The choice to speak up in a meeting instead of staying silent. The moment you finally list your actual monthly expenses instead of guessing. Each of these actions is like a single stone placed on a path. Alone, each stone is small. Over time, they add up to solid ground. To harness this, you can build a simple daily practice. Each day, you set aside a brief moment to visit the inner room. You look at the picture of your chosen income. You glance at your wealth movie. You bring to mind your visible wealth map in the outer world. Then, you ask your inner planner for guidance. You ask for one concrete thing you can do today that moves your life, even slightly, in the direction of that picture. The answer will often be ordinary. Apply for that role you have bookmarked. Send a message to someone who might know about a better opportunity. Spend a short time improving a skill that makes your work more valuable. Cancel a small expense that no longer fits your priorities. Update a simple record of what came in and what went out this week. None of these actions will transform your life in a single day. That is not their role. Their role is to prove to your own mind that you are now an active participant in your financial story. Every day that you take one small step, you cast a quiet vote for a new identity. You are no longer only someone who worries about money. You become someone who engages with money. Someone who learns, someone who plans, someone who follows through on what matters. Your brain pays attention to this pattern. It begins to see you as a person who can be trusted to act on your own behalf, even when progress feels slow. There will be days when your energy is high and your step can be a little bigger. You might take on a new responsibility that brings more income. You might design a simple plan to shift your work toward areas of higher value. You might finally face a piece of financial chaos that you have avoided for years. There will also be days when your energy is low and your step is very small. On those days, the step might be as simple as not making things worse, choosing not to spend from a place of anger, choosing to rest so that your planner can think clearly again tomorrow. The size of the step is less important than the fact that it exists. The real transformation lies in the rhythm. Day after day, you send your brain the same message. We are moving. We are learning. We are willing to feel some discomfort now in order to create a more solid life later. This repeated message slowly rewires your sense of what is normal. Your old normal may have been avoidance, panic, or reactive spending. Your new normal becomes gentle, continuous engagement. Your visible wealth map can support this daily habit. In the morning or evening, stand in front of it for a moment. Let your eyes rest on one image or phrase. Notice what small action naturally arises in your mind as you look. If your map shows a calm workspace, your daily step might be organizing one drawer or learning one new tool that makes your work smoother. If your map shows a scene of generosity, your daily step might be a choice to handle a small obligation with integrity. You are letting the images you chose guide your behavior in the real world. It is important to be honest with yourself about resistance. Some days you will not want to take even a small step. You may feel that nothing you do matters, or that you have already lost too much time. When that feeling comes, do not fight it with force. Acknowledge it as an old voice. Then invite your planner to choose the smallest possible move that still counts as progress. Perhaps you simply write down your feelings instead of acting on them. Perhaps you review your income target for a few minutes to remind yourself why you started this process. As your chain of small steps grows, you can look back from time to time. Once a month, for example, you might sit in the inner room and review the actions you have taken. You will likely see that what felt trivial in the moment has begun to form a pattern, a course completed. A deeper network of people who know your value, a more accurate understanding of your finances, a reduction in wasteful habits. This review is not about perfection. It is about showing your own mind that effort has not been wasted. Over months and years, the compound effect of these choices becomes visible. You may find yourself in a role that pays more because you quietly built the skills and confidence needed to step into it. You may see debts shrinking because you created and followed a simple plan. You may notice that you now think twice before trading long-term stability for short-term comfort. None of this is an accident. It is the natural outcome of training your brain to move in small, steady increments toward your chosen life. Yet even with this structure, you will not walk this path in a straight line. There will be setbacks. A plan will fall through. An opportunity will vanish just as you reach for it. An unexpected expense will knock you off balance. In those moments, your daily step will feel heavier. Your mind may want to throw away the map, turn off the wealth movie, and push the planner back into the shadows. This is why the next stage of your journey is so important. You will need to find a new way to relate to doubt, frustration, and fear. You will need to learn how to keep moving even when your inner room feels stormy again. In the next chapter, you will sit down with the voice of doubt itself. You will see how to face it without surrendering your progress, and how to keep taking steps, however small, in the direction of the financial life you are building. Chapter 9. Sitting down with your doubts. There comes a phase in this journey when the biggest challenge is no longer the bank balance or the job market. The biggest challenge sits quietly inside your own chest. It appears on days when you have done the work, taken the small steps, watched your inner room grow brighter, and yet the outside numbers still do not move as quickly as you hoped. On those days, doubt walks in, pulls up a chair, and looks you straight in the eye. Doubt has many voices. Sometimes it sounds tired and heavy. It says that nothing really changes, that you have tried before, that this is simply who you are. Sometimes it sounds mocking. It calls you foolish for believing that you could train your brain and reshape your financial life at this stage. Sometimes it sounds like a parent from the past, reminding you of every mistake you have ever made with money and using those moments as proof that you will always end up in the same place. In earlier years, you may have treated doubt as a judge whose word could not be questioned. When it spoke, you stopped. You put away your plans, shut down your imagination, and returned to survival mode. You may have believed that doubt was being realistic, that it was protecting you from disappointment. There is some truth in that. Doubt learned its tone from real pain. It remembers every loss and every broken promise. It carries a record of how hard life can be. Now that you have done serious work on your inner room, you are ready for a different relationship with this voice. You no longer need to fight it or obey it. Instead, you can invite it to sit at the table with your planner, your kinder inner voice, and your wealth movie. You can listen to it with respect and still choose your own path. This is what it means to sit down with your doubts. Imagine that same room at dawn inside your mind. The curtains are open. Light touches your visible wealth map in the outer world, and the picture of your chosen income on the wall inside. Your planner sits at the small desk. The inner screen shows scenes of you handling money with more ease. Now the door opens and doubt steps in. It does not sneak this time. It arrives plainly, carrying a folder full of old stories. Instead of pushing doubt back out into the hallway, you pull out a chair. You invite it to place its folder on the table. On the top page, you see memories of times you tried to improve your financial life and were knocked down by events beyond your control. Job cuts, illness, family emergencies. On another page, you see moments when you made choices that harmed your stability, impulsive spending, ignoring clear warning signs, looking away when you needed to look closely. As you look through these pages, you let yourself feel some of the sadness and frustration that come with them. This is your real history. You do not need to pretend that it was easier than it was. At the same time, you notice something that doubt tends to leave out. On almost every page, there is also evidence of strength. Times when you adjusted, learned, took responsibility, or showed courage in the middle of fear. Doubt has been using these memories only as proof that you should give up. You can now see that they can also be proof that you know how to survive and adapt. Sitting with doubt in this way turns it from a harsh judge into a cautious advisor. Its job is to warn you of real risk. Your job is to decide which warnings are useful and which are simply echoes of old pain. When doubt tells you that a certain offer sounds too good to be true, your planner can evaluate that carefully. When doubt insists that you are doomed to repeat the same mistakes, your newer, kinder voice can answer that you are learning and that your daily steps show it. On practical days, this conversation can take the form of simple reflection. When a setback happens, you may feel a wave of thoughts saying that it was pointless to try. Instead of accepting that as the whole story, you can write down what actually occurred. You can list what was in your control and what was not, what you might do differently next time, and what you handled well despite the outcome. This turns a raw event into experience that your planner can use. There will be seasons when setbacks arrive close together. An income stream ends. A plan falls apart. An unexpected expense appears at the worst possible time. In those seasons, the temptation to abandon everything you have built in your inner room can be strong. You might feel drawn to tear down the wealth map, to stop the daily steps, to silence the planner, and to return to the old script of pure survival. In those moments, it helps to remember why you began this work. You did not start this journey because life was comfortable. You started because the old way was slowly shrinking you. You were tired of feeling like a passenger in your own financial story. You wanted a different kind of partnership with your own mind. That desire is still present, even when doubt is shouting. It lives underneath the noise, like the steady rhythm of a drum. Sometimes the most powerful form of courage is not a bold move. It is the choice to take one small step while you are still afraid. When doubt says that nothing matters, you still review your numbers for the week. When doubt insists that you are not improving, you still practice a skill for a short time. When doubt whispers that your wealth map is a joke, you still glance at it and let one image sink in. Each of these actions sends a clear message to your brain. The presence of doubt does not decide your behavior. It can also help to let your support extend beyond the walls of your own mind. Speaking with a trusted person about your financial fears can break the illusion that you are the only one who struggles. Many people between 30 and 60 carry unspoken weight about money, and sharing even a part of that weight in a safe conversation can free up mental space for your planner to think again. You are not asking someone else to fix your life. You are letting connection remind you that you are not broken or alone. As you practice meeting doubt with steadiness rather than panic, something begins to shift at a deep level. You no longer treat every negative feeling as a command. You begin to see feelings as weather inside the inner room. Some days are clear, some days are cloudy, some days bring storms. Yet the room itself remains. The planner remains. The frame with your chosen income remains. The wealth movie is still there, waiting to be played again when the sky clears. Over time, this resilience becomes a new part of your identity. You are not only someone who dreams of a better financial life, you are someone who keeps walking toward it even when it hurts. You are someone who can feel doubt fully and still protect a corner of your mind where hope lives. That combination of honesty and persistence is rare, and it is a powerful foundation for genuine wealth. As you arrive near the end of this journey together, another realization emerges. The real transformation has always been about more than money. Yes, income matters. Bills must be paid. Futures must be funded. Yet underneath that, something quieter has been growing. A new sense of who you are and what you are capable of creating with the years still in front of you. In the final chapter, we will step back and look at this wider picture so that you can see wealth not only in your accounts, but in the person you are becoming. Chapter 10. Wealth as the person you are becoming. There is a morning when you wake up and notice something that has nothing to do with the numbers on your screen. The balance may not yet match the life you ultimately want. Your income may still be in motion, not settled. Your plans may still be unfolding. Yet inside, the room of your mind feels different. The air is clearer. The light falls in a new way. You realize that this journey has changed you. You began by questioning a story that once felt fixed. You asked how your life with money ended up repeating the same patterns. You were brave enough to admit that something deeper than income alone was shaping your days. Then you chose an income that matched a life you actually care about, not a fantasy built on someone else's standards. You gave that number a face and a feeling. You learned to listen to the voice in your own head and to speak back to it with intention. Instead of letting old phrases define you, you began to use language that left room for growth. You stopped treating every mistake as a verdict and started treating it as information. You saw that your inner commentary could either chain you to the past or open a door to a different future. You discovered the power of your inner images. You sat in the room at dawn in your mind and watched a new wealth movie, one where you handled money with more calm and clarity. You let your senses and emotions practice that reality ahead of time, not to escape the present, but to prepare your nervous system for a more stable and generous life. You met the planner inside your brain, the quiet strategist who had been drowned out by fear for too long. You cleared the dust from its desk. You gave it a clear picture of the life you are moving toward. You began to ask it simple, practical questions about how to bring that life closer one decision at a time. You gave this part of you the respect and space it deserved. You noticed how the outside world began to look different when your inner filters changed. Ordinary days started to hold small openings that once passed you by. A conversation here, a chance to learn there, a new path that your old story would have rejected. You brought those moments back to your planner and evaluated them with care instead of reacting from panic or habit. You brought your inner vision into the physical space around you. You built a visible wealth map that reflects the life behind your chosen income. You placed it where your eyes can rest on it, day after day. It became a quiet compass, reminding you of what you are really building when distractions and pressure pull at you from all sides. You committed to one small step each day. On easy days and hard days, you chose at least one action that moved you a little closer to your chosen life. You did this when you felt hopeful and when you felt tired. The steps were not dramatic, but they were steady. Each one was a vote for the person you are becoming. You even learned to sit with doubt without surrendering your progress. You looked at your history honestly, faced your fear, and still chose to protect a corner of your mind where hope could live. You stopped treating difficult feelings as commands. Instead, you treated them as weather that passes through the inner room, while the structure of the room remains. All of this adds up to something far larger than improved financial skills. It adds up to a different kind of self. Wealth in this sense is not only money. Wealth is also the strength of your attention, the quality of your choices, the steadiness of your inner voice, and the kind of person you are when life applies pressure. You may still be on the way toward the numbers that match your full vision. That is all right. What matters most now is that you are no longer a passive passenger in your own money story. You have become an active author. You can see how your beliefs, emotions, images, and decisions work together. You can guide them instead of being dragged by them. There will be seasons ahead when the outer world is kind, and seasons when it is rough. There will be gains and losses, calm stretches and storms. Nothing in this book can change that. What can change is the way you move through those seasons. You now have a room inside you that you know well. You know where the curtains are. You know how to quiet the old radio of harsh self-talk. You know how to turn on the screen that shows you the life you are building, and how to invite your planner to the desk. As the years unfold, your definition of wealth may keep evolving. At one stage, it may center on safety and stability. At another stage, it may center on freedom and creativity. Later, it may center on contribution and legacy. The exact shape can shift. The core practice remains the same. You notice your story. You choose your direction. You train your brain to support that choice. You take small, repeated steps in the real world. There will still be days when you forget. You may catch yourself slipping back into old patterns of avoidance or despair. On those days, treat yourself as you would a friend who temporarily lost their way. Remind yourself that forgetting is part of being human. Return to the basics. Step into the inner room. Look at your chosen income and the life behind it. Listen to your thoughts. Adjust your language. Play a short scene from your wealth movie. Ask your planner for one next step, then take it. You do not need to chase a perfect version of yourself. Perfection was never the goal. The goal is alignment. Alignment between what you say you want and how you treat your own mind. Alignment between the pictures on your walls and the choices in your days. Alignment between your values and the way money flows through your life. As you practice this alignment, the people around you may notice something. They may see that you relate to money with less panic and more purpose. They may feel safer talking with you about their own financial fears. Your journey can quietly give others permission to question their stories too. In this way, the work you have done inside yourself can ripple outward, even if you never speak about it directly. In the end, the science of wealth that we have explored together is simple, though not easy. Your brain follows what it sees often, what it hears repeatedly, and what you act on consistently. You have the power to choose those inputs. You can choose stories that honor your experience without trapping you. You can choose images that stretch you without breaking you. You can choose actions that reflect respect for your future self. As this chapter closes, pause for a moment. Feel the weight of the years you have already lived, and the possibilities of the years still ahead. You have time to keep training your mind. You have time to keep shaping your financial life in ways that match who you truly are. You have time to become wealthier, not only in money, but in clarity, courage, and integrity. The journey does not end with the last word of this book. It continues tomorrow morning, in the quiet space between waking and the first rush of the day. When that moment comes, remember the room at dawn. Open the curtains a little wider. Take one steady breath. Then step once more into the life and the person you are choosing to become. When you look back on this time in your life, you may see it as the moment when you stopped treating money as pure chaos and started treating your own mind as an ally. You learned to notice your old story, to choose a new direction, to speak to yourself with respect, and to walk each day with a little more courage and clarity. That is the real outcome of this journey. Not perfection, not a magic rescue, a stronger, steadier you. From here, the question is simple and serious. Will you let this remain a comforting idea, or will you turn it into a living practice? Your brain will follow whatever you repeat. If you return to old habits, it will quietly rebuild the old room. If you return to these tools, even in small ways, it will keep strengthening the new one. So here is my invitation. Choose one part of this journey and put it into action today. Maybe you rewrite your income picture. Maybe you create your visible wealth map. Maybe you choose one small step and take it before the day ends. Do something that tells your own mind this is not over. I am still in. If this time together has helped you, do not keep it only in your head. Share this message with someone who needs it. Come back to these ideas when you feel lost. And if you want to keep walking this path with me, stay connected, stay listening, and keep showing up for your own future. Take one more deep breath. Feel your feet on the floor. The room of your mind is open, the light is coming in, and the next chapter of your financial life is waiting for you to step forward.